Father's Day is huge.
It's a dream that, that their dad had.
And for my dad was just to be in sports, not to be on the streets, not to be doing anything dumb.
The days that you're growing up and sitting in the stands with your dad and your grandfather.
I remember as a kid we'd go to a lot of games on Father's Day with my dad, and it was his day, and he wanted to spend it at the ballpark.
You take a little bit more time those days to look up in the crowd and see dads with their kids.
Dad wouldn't be where I'm at if he didn't have that type of intensity. And
it's pretty cool to be able to honor your family on those days, whether they are here or not.
For me to share that moment with my children is amazing.
Indeed, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. We're set to bring you the rubber game of this series. It's the A's and the Angels coming up on Comcast Sportsnet California. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Oakland A's Baseball. Along with Ray Fosse, I'm Glenn Kuiper. We spoke a lot about the pitching and how good it's been lately, but let's not forget about the offense, Ray. They've scored a lot of runs this year, and in this series, they've been very good.
Started on Friday night, the igniter, of course, that is Billy Burns. How about 3 infield hits on Friday night by itself? This was one of them. Once an infielder has to move either direction, there's no chance going to throw him out. And then in the first inning, it was Ben Zobrist, a 3-run home run. Everything looked great for the Athletics on Friday night. It improved yesterday. Stephen Vogt, a double down the right field line. He'd end up with 3 hits. And how about this one? An RBI double, a big one for Brett Lawrie. He decided to even slide to second base. Nobody around. But he was very excited, as the A's were yesterday, in picking up the win.
Pitching matchup today, Scott Kazmir and Garrett Richards. Kazmir facing his old team. Right. And Garrett Richards, he is one of the best right-handers in the American League.
Well, let's forget about the numbers for Scott Kazmir against his former teams because they're not very good. But every day is a different day. You're looking at different players. Scott Kazmir hopes to do better against the Angels. Those guys, the Red. But that guy who's pitching, and is Garrett Richards. 7 wins for the right-hander. Of course, last year ended his season prematurely because of an knee injury. But he is back and pitching well. Numbers aren't that great against the Athletics, but the A's hope to win the series today.
Indeed, A's looking for that series win against their rivals from the South, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. When we come back on Father's Day, we'll have lineups and first pitch from the O.Co Coliseum. So stick around. A's Angels coming up.
Go A's!
California is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Taste the new black pepper cheeseburger today, only at Jack in the Box. And by Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places.
Well, on Father's Day, fathers were able to head out onto the field with some of the A's players, which was pretty cool, as well as the youngsters, like we always do here on Sundays. But this guy is psyched. He said, I'm just running on a big league field and life is good. So a gorgeous day for baseball again. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. It's the rubber game of the series this afternoon between the Angels and the Athletics. A's have taken the field. Scott Kazmir is in the middle of his warm-up tosses. Let's check the game time weather presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is now open daily. It is 65 degrees on a Sunday afternoon at the Coliseum. A's wrapping up this short homestand. A couple games against the Padres and then these 3 games against the Angels. Let's look at the lineup for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Giovatello is going to lead off today. Calhoun will hit second. Trout third. Pujols fourth. Pujols is going to DH. Freeze at third. Ibar at short. Perez the catcher. Robertson at left. Navarro is the first baseman. There's your Angels lineup.
Scott Kazmir well rested since his last start. That was in San Diego when he got a base hit. Went just 5 innings and a no decision for Kazmir in that game, but faced the Angels a couple times last year. Did not fare that well, but today he's in the rotation, having pitched on Tuesday. That was in San Diego when he got the first base hit in many bats for the Athletics pitchers, since they don't hit that much. But Kaz got a big base hit, driving the run.
So Kazmir's first pitch is a ball to Johnny Giovatello, who's hitting .282 with 3 home runs, 25 RBIs, hitting in the leadoff spot today. Giovatello's had a very good series. He's 4 for 6 with 3 RBIs. There's your umpires. Chris Siegel calls balls and strikes, and there's Jim Joyce. He's the crew chief. He's out at second base today. 2-0 pitch is popped up. Home plate. Vogt shading his eyes. He's got it, and that's the first out of the game. Defensively for the A's today, Fold, Burns, and Reddick. In the outfield, Laurie, Simeon, Zobrist, and Davis. On the infield, and Vogt is your catcher. So 1 away, and that'll bring up Cole Calhoun, lefty on lefty.
That was a big pitch to the leadoff hitter, Giovatello. The 2-0 fastball. There's a family, and father with the son, I'm assuming, with a glove, ready to go. And Dad said, I want to go to a ball game today. What a great day to go to a ball game, because it's your day. You can pretty much do what you want to do.
You can't argue with Dad on Father's Day. If he says, I want to go to the Coliseum, then that's what you got to do. That's what I said today. I want to go to the Coliseum.
And you were told, good.
Yeah,
you better go.
Yeah, see you there. Calhoun rolls one into right field. So Calhoun not bothered by the lefty. Kazmir has a 1-out single here in the first.
And especially with a hanging breaking ball, it kind of swerved and just did that. Swerved in and maybe out of the strike zone, but off speed. And Calhoun on the left side, able to pull the ball in the hole between first and second.
So that'll bring up Trout. Trout steps in, hitting .301 with 18 home runs and 41 runs batted in. Trout in the series is 2 for 6. He has scored 3 runs. He's knocked in 1, and he's got a double.
Well, there's certain hitters, and you can look at what they've done in a series or a season, and they're always a danger. Always. Every time they put a bat in their hand, there's that concern of what they might be able to do. And I think the same for Scott Kazmir, pitching against a team that he actually wore this uniform, the Angels. I don't know if he wore that hat before, Trout head, but Mike Trout wasn't there. You know, the one thing that I'm sure realizing that while the name on the front is the same, the names on the back are different, and you just have to look at that as
being able to pitch against a different group of guys and throw away the numbers collectively against the team. And Scott Kazmir having a good season, trying to do what Jesse Hahn did yesterday, get back to the 500 mark with his season record.
So this is his 8th start against the Angels. He's 2-5 with a 7.56 ERA. So he'll try to smooth out those numbers a little bit today. Now it's 3-1 to Trout. Couple starts last year for Kazmir against the Angels. They were not good.
Thus the inflated ERA.
Yep.
Because the showed it last 3 0-3, and 2 of those last year back-to-back weren't that great.
Swing and a miss. Fastball away. 3-2.
You know, the one thing Scott Kazmir did 2 starts ago against the Rangers, exactly this. 3-1, add a little bit more on the fastball, and he started the game, as we had noted, did not throw a lot of pitches, but worried about the velocity, but it was a plan. And he pitched a 1-hitter against the Rangers combined. He gave up just 1 hit to Elvis Andrus. And I think from that standpoint, he learned a lot about how to utilize his fastball, whether it'd be a good one to add a little bit or take some off.
So Calhoun jumps off first with his lead. And the pitch is lined into right field, and that's a base hit. Calhoun to second. So a little action for the Angels here in the first inning.
A 92-mile-an-hour fastball, and for Kazmir, held Calhoun. He was not running, and an elevated fastball could not get it past Trout, who just a very good hitter. All you can say, he is a very good hitter.
Exmo brought to you by Cache Creek Casino Resort. So here's Albert Pujols. Pujols is 2 for 8 in the series. Of course, the grand slam. First pitch is a fastball, first strike. Angels with that big come from behind win on Friday, but the A's yesterday behind Jesse Hahn with a 4-1 win. Hahn was very good. So rubber game of the series today.
Splitter against Mujica, and it did not take long to get out. Left it in the middle of the plate, and it was a bullet down the left field line. And Pujols' 13th career grand slam, and that capped a 7-run, although they just scored 10 runs. The A's could do nothing after they put 7 on the board.
So 1-1 to Pujols. Overall 20 home runs, 42 RBIs, 540 homers in his career. Most home runs in the American League. Foul that one straight back. Got a good pitch to hit. Pujols with 20. Nelson Cruz has 19 home runs. Trout has 18, as does Teixeira. And then Donaldson and Valbuena both have 17. There's your American League home run leaders. So 1-2, and now timeout call, and Kazmir and Vogt will get together. So it's nice to have Trout and Pujols on that page together. They've homered in the same game 5 times this season alone. We look at Pujols, 12 home runs in his last 22 games. So the American League home run leader. 1-2 pitch is popped up, and Vogt turns around, but it's into the seats.
I was hoping one like that stays in play, because it filled him on the breaking ball, but as Stephen Vogt knows, as a hitter, he's hot. Good things happen, and for Pujols, even hotter. And that ball fouled, but not a lot of room behind home plate.
David Freese is in the on-deck circle. Calhoun at second, Trout at first. Ball is tapped foul. Another changeup. Kind of up and out, and Pujols just got a piece of it.
That's a great feeling Albert Pujols must have right now, that no matter what happens, no matter what pitch he sees, he's got a chance to do something. And from the pitcher standpoint, you wonder, what can I do to try to fool him? He's fooled him a couple of times, but he's fouled them off.
And that one is lofted down the left field line. It'll be into the seats. Above the bullpen of the Athletics.
And that was a changeup again, back-to-back changeups. And you know, Albert Pujols, you almost want to roll the ball up and see if you swing. And maybe he'll top it and hit it to one of the infielders for a double play.
Well, he's as dangerous now as he was in those days with the Cardinals.
Yeah, exactly.
He's healthy, and it doesn't look like he's lost a whole lot of bat speed. This one's driven to center. Burns back, still going back, and Burns makes the catch. Calhoun tags. He'll go second to third. So a long out and a big out as Pujols is retiring.
Well, just happy hit it in that direction. It is the deepest in center field at 400 feet, and Pujols tried to go inside, left it out a little bit, actually a little bit too much, and Pujols got to extend the strong arms straight away center. But again, maybe the 3 consecutive curveball, changeup, and then the fastball. Maybe thinking more off speed, especially with 2 strikes, and to the warning track in center field, and that's a big woof. As Billy Burns, as you talked in the open about how confident he is in the outfield, and he just smoothly went back on that one.
There's David Freese, who foul tip on the first pitch. Freese 235 with 10 home runs, 34 RBIs. Setting up inside, and Freese fouls it back. Freese last year, in his first year with the Angels, had 10 homers and 55 RBIs for the whole season in 134 games. Remember, he got off to a real slow start. He was a little bit better in the second half.
Well, sometimes that's the National League to the American League. Yep. Just changing leads, maybe just enough to slow you down at the beginning.
Swing and a miss. Chased a high fastball, and Kazmir works out of the jam. So a couple of hits and a couple of runners stranded, and here comes Billy Burns and the A's when we come back. Angels. Let's look at the lineup for the Athletics. The red-hot Billy Burns leads things off, sitting on an 11-game hitting streak. Simeon to follow, and then Vogt. Zobrist will clean things up. Reddick, Laurie, Davis, Canna, and Fuld round out the A's lineup.
Garrett Richards, of course, one of the top in the league, and he has made a few adjustments, and as a result, his record has improved. 7 wins on the season, and he has had 12 starts. And of course, the injury to his knee last year shut him down towards the end of the postseason. He has come back a little bit slow out of the gate, but he is pitching very well now. He is 2-4 seam fastball. He'll top out about 96 with a curve and a good slider. So a very good pitcher, and you're going to see some great shots throughout this day of fathers and sons and hot dogs, cotton candy, and
all the goodies.
Kids, I'm sure, left the house today and said, "Dad, take lots of money. We're going to take you to a game, but you're going to buy everything." And Dad's very happy to do it.
Burns to lead it off. Burns, Simeon, and Vogt for the A's here in the first inning against Garrett Richards, hard throwing right-hander. Burns dribbles one foul. Burns 325, 2 home runs, 14 RBIs. During his 11-game hitting streak, he's 19 for 49. He has certainly been the catalyst for the A's. Would be an understatement. 2 pitch. Popped up, loop to shallow center. Giavotella gets out there quickly to make the catch. Let's look at the Angels defense. It's Robertson in left, Trout in center, Calhoun in right, Freeze at third, Ibar at short, Giavotella at second, and Navarro is at first with Carlos Perez doing the catching. So Mike Scioscia and the Angels with a 35-34 record, 4.5 games behind the Astros in the AL West. On the ground is short. Ibar has it. Quick release to first, 2 outs. And that'll bring up Vogt. Angels will head home after this game, and they will start a 9-game homestand with the Astros. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they will host the first place Astros. So Angels are thinking, hey, we're going to get a shot to maybe pick up some ground on the Stros.
That's why today for the A's is a big game, too, because they're going to be going to Texas. So got some intra-divisional rivalries, and see what the A's can do today and against the Rangers, then Kansas City next weekend.
A's are 30-41. They're 10.5 back. So game number 72 for the Athletics. The 1-0 pitch to Vogt is low. So the Rangers sitting 2.5 back of the Astros. Angels 4.5. Mariners 7.5. And then there are the A's at 10.5. And the Mariners just underway up in Seattle. They are going for the sweep of the Astros. So I'm sure the Mariners are thinking, hey, maybe it's time for us to make our move. It's the way you have to look at it this time of year, where there's still plenty of time left. But when you square off against the teams you're chasing, that's the best time to make a move. In fact, the Astros scored a run in the first up in Seattle. That's Velasquez for the Astros and Happ for the Mariners. So we'll keep a close eye on that one.
Remember last night Keiko started for the Astros and he lost. And he walked 4 batters. It's one of those games that, you know, if you're starting pitcher, and you can go 3 or 4 in a row and it'd be great and have a bad one. Well, Keiko's had a pretty good first 3 months and had a bad one and lost, but you really have to take advantage of it. And I think the biggest thing, even for the A's, 10.5 out at the bottom of the division, you're looking at a very tight division. The tighter you can get it, the better it's going to be the second half of the season, and that's what the A's main objective is now, to get to that point.
So here's Zobrist hitting in the cleanup spot again, 242 with 4 home runs, 24 RBIs.
Richard pitched against the A's on the 30th of April, walked 3 batters, but did pick up the win. Just 1 earned run that he gave up. He ended up winning the game, going 6+ innings.
Defense is straight away for Zobrist. Missed outside. Billy Butler out of the lineup for the second day in a row.
Well, it's a numbers game, as we have come to realize in baseball, it's what have you done against a certain pitcher, and the manager making those moves starts to look at who's doing better against a very tough pitcher in Garrett Richards and try to win games, and that's the bottom line. And Mark Canha is the DH today.
In there first strike, and also, you want to try to get guys in there some. You don't want to forget about certain guys. I mean, Canha's been swinging a pretty decent bat. That may have something to do with it.
That has a lot to do with it. But he's ready to come off the bench if necessary. A couple of lefties on the bullpen for the Angels if Mike Scioscia brings them in.
Outside to Zobrist, 95 miles an hour, so the count 3-1.
Well, it'd be nice if Richards could do what Shoemaker did on Friday night, groove a fastball. That was 2-0 on Friday night. How about a 3-1 fastball center cut, and see him get the A's on the board in the first like he did on Friday.
Ball's hit toward first, scooped up by Navarro, and he steps on the bag, side retired. A runner left for the A's, so we're scoreless after 1.
Is Randy Vogt, Damian Simeon, and David Canha all throwing to their sons, to Stephen, Mark, and of course Marcus. That is a special day. Stephen Vogt right in the middle. Got a lefty, Mark Canha to the left, his dad, and then the Simeons on the right. Stephen Vogt. There is Damian Simeon, who is watching his son this afternoon.
He doesn't miss a whole lot of games.
No, he doesn't.
That one's hit well towards center. Burns near the wall again, makes the catch.
Now, the catcher will warm up the starting pitcher, something that started several years ago. And Stephen Vogt was warming up Scott Kazmir, and I saw him running down towards home plate in full gear. He flipped his mask to Adam Lobenstein and said, hang on to this for a second. He went out and caught his dad's ceremonial first pitch, Randy, and then hustled back down to the bullpen to finish warming up Scott Kazmir. So full duty for the starting catcher. And that's a good way to figure out exactly how your pitcher is pitching, by warming him up in the bullpen. And many years ago it was simply that somebody warming up in the bullpen, you go out behind the plate, you catch 8 warm-up tosses, and maybe hit somebody down the bullpen and say, hey, he's got a good fastball, curve, whatever, but you go get him.
Quick 0-2 to Carlos Perez.
Of course, also, we didn't have a bullpen catcher to help us either.
Yeah, that's
if she didn't catch, she didn't sit on the bench. She was with the bullpen and warmed up pitchers.
Swing and a miss. So Carlos Perez chases a pitch in the dirt, and Kazmir gets his second strikeout of the afternoon.
Well, the high fastball to Freese blew him away out of the strike zone. This changeup also a very good one to Perez out of the strike zone. And the Action on the delivery fooled Perez. Even 0-2 went right after him, and so Scott Kazmir, that's 4 consecutive retired after Trout. Base hit to right field. The biggest, of course, was Pujols' line drive to center.
Here's Daniel Robertson getting a start against the left-hander today. Robertson in left field.
It's interesting. Perez, somebody asked him about the last pitch, and of course all the scouting reports are out on everybody. And maybe it was just a matter of confirming that it was a changeup that he threw him and he struck out 0-2. So a good fastball, good curveball to Robertson.
Oh, 2 pitch fastball up and away.
Might have been the biggest walk of the night on Friday night, and that was Robertson with the bases loaded, and pinch hitter in the game and ended up walking, and of course great for he and the Angels, but not very good for the Athletics, so that turned out to be a big one.
So 2-2. That one lofted toward left field. Fold is there. He's got inside, retired. 3 up, 3 down inning for Scott Kazmir. Bottom of the second coming up. Reddick to lead it off. No score. Brought to you by Evergood Sausage Company. Get grilling. Looks good there. Who's ever in charge of that is doing it right. Oh, that looks good. Good day to do that. Cook out. Relax. Do it in the barbecue terraces here. Down the right field line, in the left field line. That's not a bad idea either. Good seat.
Are you saying we should be down there broadcasting one day?
I think we should. We could get home run balls down there.
We could get food. Yeah. I think that would be good.
Something to think about.
Joe lifted his hand like you would like to do it.
You'd be down there. 1-1 to Reddick. 2-1 to Reddick, hitting .290 with 10 home runs, 42 RBIs, and he's 1 for 9 in the series. Josh Reddick, a decent chance to be an all-star this year. Of course, in the outfield, there's always a lot of candidates, but he's having a very fine season.
Well, it probably at least in 12 deserved. Had 32 home runs in a very good first half, and fought some injuries, but he has played very well in right field, and probably could have been an all-star time or two. what's nice is that guys are disappointed when they don't make it. There are some guys, I guess, who are consistently making it and saying, I need to take the time off. And then there are those who maybe come up just a little bit short, can't wait to represent their team and league in the All-Star game, which is now a meaningful game.
And really not that far away, 3 weeks away. A swing and a miss. And we have not said that with Reddick this year. He has really cut down on his strikeouts, but he chased the pitch there for the first down.
Well, this is something that Garrett Richards does well. And Perez, and it was Drew Gutierrez catching him last time he faced the Athletics, and he did that exact same thing through a lot of curveballs, especially in fastball counts. And Reddick obviously a little bit upset because I'm sure he was thinking fastball. Maybe that will help the rest of the guys in the rest of the game as they think about a count in which a fastball is expected, but ends up getting a curveball out of the strike zone.
So 0-1 the count to Laurie, hitting .287 with 6 homers and 30 runs batted in. He's 3 for 8 and a couple of runs scored, and that one is line to right. Calhoun over to cut it off, and Laurie's going to try for 2, and he's going to make it with a sliding double.
Now I know what he did yesterday. He was practicing sliding with nobody at second base because this fastball just inside the line, down the right field line. And yesterday with nobody near second, he had a feet first slide. This time with Calhoun, a very strong arm. Decided he's going to slide, but he's thinking 2 all the way, and that's the good move. But a feet first slide, perfectly executed with a pop up, and he's at second with 1 out.
Laurie with his 15th double of the year.
You know what's good about Laurie? That as hot as he has been, he's not trying to pull the outside fastball. He's going very well to the opposite field with it. And as long as he does that, staying hot with the bat, he'll take the doubles to right field just as easily when he hits the off-speed pitches to left field.
And now Laurie's going to try for third, and he's safe. So he came off the bag, and then they tagged him out. Like he just slid past the bag and initially called safe. Maybe take a look at it. Freeze, I believe, held the tag. Greg Gibson is the third base umpire. See Laurie taken off.
Initially he was safe. But then the question is, did he tag him after he got on safely, and then he pushed him off? He didn't tag him after either. He never tagged him. His body did, but the glove didn't. And I think that's what Bob Melvin's arguing about, because when Freeze's glove was up in the air, thumbs up, thumbs down. But watch Freeze as he's called safe. Freeze tumbles over, and he tags him there. It's called safe. But watch Freeze. Freeze's glove is up in the air when he reaches back, and somehow, why would Gibson call it? What did he do? He never touched him.
Yeah, you're right. He held the tag for a little bit, but not long enough.
He's called safe there.
There it's up.
And see where the tag is? He's there. He did not tag him. His body, if that constitutes, but you have to tag him with a glove. So he's called safe. His hand's on the bag. His foot knocks the foot or his hand off, but he never retags it.
Yeah. That's got to be overturned.
You would think. And Scioscia's talking to them, and Jim Joyce is saying, let me listen. Because, see, Freeze also, he immediately, without knowing that Gibson had called him out after the fact, he pointed to Scioscia thinking he had tagged him before. So you might have the double if they overturn this initial one.
You're saying the initial tag, did they miss that call?
Right, and that's what
possible
that's
too,
what Freeze immediately pointed at. Because he called him safe, and then unbelievably Greg Gibson called him out, and Freeze wasn't even close to him. Now, did he tag him here? Because Gibson called him safe.
So what you're saying is it's possible that Gibson could have been wrong on both ends.
Well, he definitely, I think, wrong on the back end, because if he tagged him here, he'd called him safe, and now Freeze not even close. Freeze gloves up in the air. He's pushing him off. And now he's calling him. How did he? Yeah, this is what Freese said he got him right here. That's why he immediately, again, he knew he didn't tag him on the rebound.
So he called him.
See right there. See, he's pointing to Social right there. He said, "I got him."
So he called him safe on the first part of the play, out on the second part, and it's possible it may have been the other way around.
And is wrong on both. Yeah,
but that the call on the first one, I mean, it's close. It did not look like there was anything that clearly showed Freese tagging him before his hand touched the bag. So you really almost have to take this play and slice it up into two parts.
And you know what could happen? They could challenge the challenge, and both could lose their challenge.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's a very good call.
But if right now Bob Melvin was questioning the call overslide in the bag, that's the initial challenge. And I have no idea what Greg Gibson saw to call him out afterwards when Freese's glove was clearly up in the air.
Yeah, the glove was really nowhere near Laurie's body.
And it is a judgment call, as we found out with Elvis Andrus and the Rangers lifting the foot off the bag in Texas and calling it out. It's a judgment call of the umpire. And really, this was unintentional. And actually, it was Freese's momentum that pushed Laurie off the bag. Now here's what the Angels think they got him. Now watch Freese. His hand's going to go up in the air. So he's up in the air. He's still on the bag. Now he's coming off the bag. Now how?
Yeah, I don't know how he missed that either.
Yeah, I mean, what is he calling after the fact? That's the surprising thing.
And I think what may benefit the A's here, Ray, is that the first part of that play, I don't see any part of the play that could be overturned. But the second part where he's called out, that is clearly a missed call.
See, his hand was on the bag. Now his hand comes off, and this is when he calls him out.
Yeah. And he did get his hand back in the bag, and Freese never tagged him after that.
And in reality, Freese pushed him off the bag with his momentum. But again, that's a judgment call.
So kind of an odd play, because you're really looking at two parts of it.
And you know, Jim Joyce told Mike Scioscia, get back to the dugout, because Scioscia was going to challenge the initial one. And then Jim Joyce evidently had taken the Bob Melvin challenge.
Yeah.
And they're hearing from New York.
And Garrett Richards really wasn't throwing, but now, in fact, the bench said, hey, warm up a little bit, because it's been going on for a little while now.
And this is just the beginning.
We may get a call here.
Well,
now the umpires are kind of talking to each other with the headsets on, just making sure that they get everything right.
And Jim Joyce is the crew chief. Greg Gibson made the call. This is probably the longest. And again, this is the initial challenge by Bob Melvin. Okay. Yeah, Scioscia's ready to come out of the dugout because he has a feeling that
he's got. I mean, really, if you look at everything, I mean, he really's got to be safe.
Yeah. Yeah,
of course, we should know better than to say that, but
well, if the first part is inconclusive, because there's really no definitive shot of him tagging him, and since Gibson called him safe and then called him out. Oh, wow. Wow. Now, see, Bob Melvin.
I just don't get that.
See, Gibson throwing his hands up. That is ridiculous.
Unless there was some type of replay that we don't have that showed Freese tagging him initially, that's the only way, because the second part of the play, that was clearly a missed call. I mean, not even.
But see,
it's not even really close. I mean, that was just a bad call that everybody could see. But
okay, here now, did he tag him here? Now Gibson's calling him safe. Is his hand on the bag? Did he tag him? Because he definitely, his hand's on the bag there. He pushes him off. His glove's up in the air, and this is when Gibson calls him out. Unless he's saying his body's part of the glove, which that's not true.
That's not. Yeah.
No, you have to tag him with the ball and the glove. Now, was his hand on the bag? Because Gibson calls him safe there, and Melvin is challenging this part. That's what he's challenging, and that's ridiculous. That's absolutely absurd.
The only way is if they had a shot of Freese actually tagging him before his hand touched on the initial part of the slide.
But that would have been a challenge by Socha, because Melvin challenged the after effect, I think.
So that's the third out, and a little controversy here at the Coliseum. Lori's not happy, and now Bob Melvin's going to chat with the umpires again.
Dave Henderson and other former A's players for the 2016 Oakland Athletics Fantasy Camp held from January 15th to 21st at the A's new spring training facility in Mesa, Arizona. Get out of the stands and onto the field. Create your lasting memories with former A's greats. For more details, go to www.hendersonbaseball.com or call 509-993-7338.
So third inning, here's Efren Navarro, who takes a fastball on the inside corner first strike. This was Bob Melvin chatting in between innings. He was not happy.
And I think the best part about this was Jim Joyce, the crew chief, when he walked away, just put his hands up like, I don't know. I mean, it was.
I don't ever want to see an umpire put his hands up like,
no,
saying, I don't know.
But I mean, it was just shocking. And I guess emails are sent out on the decisions to somebody. But, you know, usually see, Gary DeSarcina probably told me messed up. He said, are you looking at the body as part of the glove and the ball to tag him out? Because if that wasn't clear with the glove in the air and then Gibson calling him out, I have no idea where he thought he tagged him.
So 1-0 the count to the leadoff man, Giovitella. A couple of hits for the Angels. Both came in the first inning. They were stranded. A couple of strikeouts for Kazmir so far.
Sorry to say, Kike, when Bob Melvin, after the decision was made that Lori was out, Bob Melvin came out of the dugout. Under normal circumstances, that's an immediate ejection. You cannot argue a decision made on a challenge. He came out, and the umpires, I guess, felt necessary to explain to him, and we'll find out later what he was challenging. We'd assume the only challenge it could have been was the overslide.
This has got some strange technicality written all over it, doesn't
exactly. And for it to take over 5 minutes to determine, but with the initial out call, then there was no challenge from Mike Socha because he got what he wanted.
2-2 now to Giovitella, who fouled out to the catcher Vogt in the first inning. Two and here's the delivery. It's bounced to Lori. Stays down on it. And that's out for 2. And I think too, Ray, and it's a hot topic because it seems like this year there's been more, and it shouldn't be this way because there should be replay improvements as you know, from first year to second year. But it seems like this year there's been a lot more calls that seem to be very clear on replay.
Yeah.
But they haven't been corrected. And I know it has a lot of people around baseball, and has a lot of media people around baseball scratching their head. It's like, well, okay, what are they seeing that we're not?
Yeah,
because that is, I mean, and I'm not necessarily talking about this play, although it seemed to be pretty clear, but we've had a couple. The Will Venable hit by pitch in San Diego. It's like, it hit him in the leg. His pants moved.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How could what are they seeing that our replays didn't show?
Because they're supposed to see ours, the Angels, and they have their own cameras, and you know, they have a whole, I guess, array of cameras, the Angels to look at.
And listen, I mean, replay is now a big part of baseball, and it's a big part of what you and I talk about. And it just seems like some parts of it have gotten better this year. Other parts have gone the other way. There's been some real head scratching calls this year. We've had a couple, and I know there's been quite a few of them around Major League Baseball.
Good fastball outside corner. Remember the hanging breaking ball that Calhoun hit his first at bat. That fastball down and on the corner to the outside. Like Kazmir, well, confident now with the fastball and a pitch that he's throwing successfully. That and the changeup. Occasional breaking ball. Remember, he has retired every batter since the trot base hit, and he's mixing his pitches quite well.
Calhoun with the base hit in the first, and here's the 2-2 delivery down and away.
Shook off the fastball, the four seam, went to kind of the cutter slider.
Payoff pitch. Here it is. And it's fouled into the seats again by Calhoun. A good battle here between Calhoun and Kazmir, lefty on lefty. Just missed. Very close pitch. Kazmir thought he had strike 3.
Could not have been much lower than the one that was called a strike. Front knee. Just below the kneecap. Calhoun felt confident, and I'm always surprised when hitters take close pitches like that. And of course, this time it goes in the favor of Calhoun, but some that are so close to take.
So that gets Trout in at bat here in the third with 2 outs. First pitch is high with a changeup.
It's like you work hard to avoid getting this power to the batting order.
In first strike. So 2-1 the count. So we're just getting somewhat of an explanation, which we will pass on that controversial play. We'll get to that in a little bit.
I thought the interesting part was what Mike Selleck finished with, which You guys type it up when we pass along the decision.
2-1 to Trout. He's fouled out. So 2-2 the count. Is looped into right field. Reddick coming in, still coming in, and he'll short hop it. And Calhoun stays at second. So Trout, his second hit to right field. 2 on, 2 out for Pujols. Trout's 2 for 2.
Well, Josh Reddick did his best to try to get to the ball and catch it, knowing who's coming up. And he went for it, and fortunately got a glove on it, caught the ball, because that's dangerous right there. If it scoots past him, Calhoun probably would have scored, and he was thinking about going to third. Simeon behind him. Fastball inside, good location by Kazmir, but Trout is so strong to fight it off to get it to right field. Both hits in that direction.
So here's Pujols, who hit a deep fly ball to center field with 2 on in the first, and a breaking ball in for a strike. With runners on base, the opponents hit 179 against Kazmir. With runners in scoring position, 193. He was really good in those categories last year as well. Just a touch low. 1-1 to Pujols. Pujols, his fly ball in the first inning was caught by Burns on the warning track. Swing. Good pitch there by Kazmir. Tied up Pujols just a little bit.
Elevated a little bit. Belts high, and the movement. Look at the movement. Cutter inside. And Pujols trying to bring the hands in. Brought him in. No contact, though. It was a strike. That's almost a protecting with 2 strikes, but looked pretty good to him.
This one's lined toward Reddick in right. He's there, and he makes the catch. So Kazmir gets out of another jam. A couple more runners stranded. Bottom of the third coming up. No score.
Voting is exclusively online and available on your computer, tablet, and smartphone. Vote up to 35 times at athletics.com.
Well, how about this, Ray? The umpires have been talking the entire break. The 3 umpires, and They're still talking, which tells me that this replay was not your normal run-of-the-mill replay, which was done last inning.
And why are they holding up play to do it? I mean, Scioscia's got to be screaming at him and saying, wait, my pitcher's ready, and you guys are still meeting.
Yeah, that is a bit strange because, yeah, I mean, everybody's ready to go. I don't know.
Well, I think, Larry, you're going to put up the explanation? Okay, after this, okay.
We give you the official explanation on what ended up being an out call at third base. And this is official right from the replay room. 0-1 to Canna. Canna, Fold, and Burns here in the bottom of the third. No score. 3 hits for the Angels, 1 hit for the Athletics. That was Laurie's double right before he was out at third. And the 0-1 pitch is a fastball fouled straight back. Canna, 247, 8 home runs, 26 runs batted in. First action in this series, and there's Mark's dad, who was one of the 3 fathers who threw out the first pitch today. Stephen Vogt's dad and Marcus Simeon's dad all were out there. One and 2 to Canna. Breaking ball is foul back.
And for the 3 players, Mark and Marcus and Stephen Vogt, all 3 had their fathers throwing their first pitches out. How proud do you think some fathers are to be in the park today watching those 3 major leaguers and watching what they're doing in particular, but the team as a whole? There's Damian Simeon, father of Marcus, and Randy Vogt, and David Canna.
And Richards thought he had strike 3. And I'm not sure how he didn't have strike 3. This is a nice moment.
David and Mark Canna. And of course, 3 fathers in the area, per se, I guess. The Canna and Simeons live in the area. And of course, Randy Vogt, his wife, down in the Little Valley.
Yeah, that's a pretty good Father's Day present, huh? Sitting in a major league stadium and watch your son play. Doesn't get much better than that. Richards, the 2-2 pitch, foul straight back. Good swing there by Canna. He got a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and he swung at it like he knew it was coming.
And a good swing, and when you have confidence, and the more pitches he sees, the better he feels.
Setting up inside this time is Carlos Perez. And good pitch there. Freeze scoops it up, fires to first, and the tag by Navarro on Canna, and a nice play there. All right, here's the explanation, and this is the official explanation. After viewing all relevant angles, the replay official definitely determined the runner was tagged on the right shoulder prior to touching third base. So that's the original part of the play. Even though the original call was out due to the runner losing contact with the base, the replay official is obligated to look at the entire play. So I guess what they're saying, Ray, is when it was all said and done, the runner was called out. But as they looked at the replay, the out really came on the initial part of the tag, which we really didn't see a great angle that showed that he was definitely out on that original tag. But they must have had some different angle that showed it, because that replay right there was not clear that Freeze tagged him before Leury got to third.
Well, maybe they anticipated that Mike Scioscia was going to challenge, and that they decided to make the decision on their own. But my question, and I think clarification is needed, because what I'd been told was that at home plate, the new definition now.
Sam Fuld rips one down the right field line. And Fuld is going to get to second, and he'll stop there.
Two doubles in the game, and Sam Fuld was a triples master at the beginning of the season. 3 consecutive games. This time, a little cutter coming inside, and Sam Fuld slipped initially out of the batter's box. He was not going to get more than 2 anyway, but a little slip there past Albert Pujols down in the corner, and Sam Fuld slipping and kept his feet, able to get to second base easily. And again, Calhoun able to cut the ball off to prevent it down in the corner and enabling Sam to get to third.
So opportunity for the A's is Billy Burns hits. Burns slices one fair down the left field line. And that will get Sam Fuld home. Burns with a big turn. He'll stay at first. And the A's lead 1-0.
Finally hit the ball to the outfield and drives in a run. Staying hot, Billy Burns. 12-game hitting streak. And very smart base running. He had to have known where Robertson was playing, because you'd think this is going to be an easy double. Slap the ball to left field over the head of Freese at third. But as he rounded first base aggressively, that is a great shot, great swing. Robertson got to the ball quickly after it landed fair. Fuld was going to score easily, but Burns halfway to second base and stopped as the throw came back in accurately to second base.
So Burns gets his 15th RBI, knocks home Sam Fuld.
Robertson there, he gets to it quickly in a very strong, accurate throw to second base, and Burns thinking too, and let's stop and concede it, because that he has to know where the outfielders and how shallow they're playing him, and they're going to get to the ball quickly.
A little high, step throw to first. Simeon tried to hold up as the pitch was high, but it's a strike, so 0-2 the count.
So Perez throw from his knees, but the one thing that he will do, also throwing to second, is throw from his knees if it feels that the runner has a pretty good jump.
And a breaking ball. That's low. 1-2. Richards can't believe it. He's like, are you serious? These are your stolen base leaders. Burns now second in the American League.
He has to wonder which curve is going to be called. The Canna curveball looked pretty good. That curveball looked pretty good to Simeon. That's a strike.
And that one is a strike. So Simeon strikes out. Second K of the afternoon for Garrett Richards.
And not surprising that both have come on the curveball. He really likes his curveball, throws it anytime, righties or lefties, and I mean, that is a sharp, tight curveball. And Marcus Simeon maybe wondering himself which curveball is going to be called.
So 2 outs, and here's Vogt. Burns takes off. Pitch is a bit outside.
Well, one thing about running against Richards, and Perez does throw well, but he throws a lot of curveballs, which is a pretty good pitch to run. And a lot of times a pitcher will, or catcher will call more fastballs with a base stealer on, try to get the ball quicker.
Missed again, and now it's 2-0. Well, just looking at Carlos Perez, the catcher, his numbers. He's caught 8 of 21 base stealers this year, and that's a pretty good percentage.
When you throw from your knees, you're not normally as accurate with the throw. The quickness is there, but instead of coming up out of your position. Benito Santiago, probably the first to ever throw from his knees, and everybody was shocked.
2 for 4 against Richards.
It says a lot. Only 4 attempts. Maybe that's why Burns has not run so far.
And now it's 3-0.
He might not have to. Second time Stephen Vogt has had a 3-0 count. First time he took a fastball. And again, sometimes a hitter will be given the green light. They just don't feel comfortable doing it. Maybe this time Stephen Vogt will, with 2 outs and a runner first.
And Vogt taking, and it's in first strike. So 3-1 the count. Vogt will be ready to hit.
One player last year hit a home run on 3-0. I'm trying to remember who it was, but Jed Lowry. Brett Lowry. Jed Lowry hit a home run on 3-0, and he'd taken one previously. And when asked about it, he says the most predictable pitch on 3-0 is a fastball. And he got it, hit a home run.
Sure.
And that was the second at bat in the same game that he had the 3-0 count. Is Jed Lowry back yet? Or they brought up the young kid?
I don't think so.
Brought up the young kid. He's playing great.
Check their box scores. I have not seen his name. 3-2, runner goes, and the ball's grounded right to Giovitella. Side retired, but a run for the A's. Billy Burns with an RBI single after Fuld and the 1-out double. So 4th inning coming up. It's the A's 1 and the Angels 0. Another terrific start. He picked up his 5th win. Pitched into the 8th inning. Gave up just 4 hits, a run, and 4 strikeouts on 109 pitches. And well, this young man is really starting to put it all together. Jesse Hahn. And after that start, he's now 5-5. Decent ERA of 3.40. And he's fun to watch.
And he gets to enjoy today after his dad Fred, I'm sure, watched him pitch yesterday back on the East Coast. He and his dad Fred, mother Kate, and a couple of sisters for Jesse Hahn. And he says a very special family. He's my guest on the radio side at Father's Day. And Jesse, of course, a very proud son.
Well, we ain't done yet with the umpires.
You know, and it's a good point. It's who lost the challenge.
Yeah, I think that is what they're trying to decide here.
And the question is, if they deemed he was initially tagged out, Melvin challenged the overslide. And if the New York decided that we have to look at the whole play, really there shouldn't have been any challenge. Because if you look at the challenge by Melvin, it was on the out call, which is incorrect, by Greg Gibson on the overslide. So if But if Socha probably wants the challenge to be taken away for the A's, not to give them the challenge. If they challenge it and they ruled that he was tagged out initially, so when Greg Gibson missed both calls, New York decided it was the initial tag in which Gibson called him safe. So in essence, that would have been the challenge by Socha after the fact. Now who's going to tell whom?
It's complete confusion.
Yeah, they're saying it's a challenge for the A's, and I guess Socha just got the safe call.
So that means the A's don't have their challenge.
And I would hope, because the umpires can look at a play if asked by a manager, we saw that happen before, that because they messed this one up, that if Bob Melvin does go out, they say, you messed it up.
So here's Freeze, Ibar, and Perez. First pitch is a strike. Here's a thought, Ray. Just forget about the challenges. Just check the. If it's a close play, check it.
Yeah.
Because the object is
to get it right.
To get it right.
Yes.
And if that means there needs to be 5 challenges, then there was 5 bad calls.
Well, and really puts the emphasis on the umpires on the field to make the correct call. So there aren't challenges and plays that you have to look at and wonder. I mean, these guys take a lot of pride in what they do. They want to make the right calls. And from what I've been told, there are statistics on umpires and calls that are upheld, overturned, etc.
I'm just saying, if there's a missed call somewhere later in the game, it should be corrected. And if somebody doesn't have the challenge left, then it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get corrected. Well, that's not what this is about. What it's about is to get every missed call correct. It shouldn't be about, well, the guy has his challenge, he doesn't, he loses it, he gets it back, you know.
Well, I think I want to say it was Boston, when I think the A's had lost the challenge and Bob Melvin went out, and the umpires decided to look at it anyway, and that's when I want to say it was John Farrell said, wait a minute, they lost the challenge, but you can go to the umpire and get them to agree as an umpire to look at the play, just like
why not have it like that the whole game?
I agree. That is exactly correct. I agree with you.
And then take away this challenge thing that you have one in your pocket and then it's gone.
Right. The number.
Line drive up the middle, and Ibar has the 4th hit for the Angels. A 1-out single.
Now batting.
Well, 2-strike pitch, but again left the ball out over the plate a little bit too much, and Ibar kind of flat foot, and yesterday saw him shoot a ball up the middle and tied the game. The A's scored 3 after that, but 7 for 10 career against Scott Kazmir, his former teammate. I don't know if he's nodding like Davis or looking over to Scott Kazmir and saying, I got you again.
First pitch to Carlos Perez. Called the ball. Ibar has 4 steals on the year, so him going is possible. Perez struck out swinging in the 2nd inning. And now 2 of them.
Cannot worry about him, though. And you know what Josh Fegley told us yesterday, I thought was very important in our post-game interview with him when he went out to talk to Jesse Hunt. He said, I'll take care of the running game. You concentrate on the hitter. And that is exactly what you want as a pitcher, to know your catcher's going to help you. It's going to run, and you can look the runner back. You can keep him close, but don't concentrate so much that you lose your focus on the hitter. And if you're lefty and that front foot lifts up and you can go first to the home, you got him stopped anyway. And if he does go, he's probably going to go on first move.
Strike, 2-2. On deck is Daniel Robertson.
Good fastball, and Casimir can bump it up a little bit extra. Again, he talked about how much he learned in the game against the Rangers, adding and subtracting on his own.
This one's hit high in the air, third baseline, foul territory. Simeon and Laurie come together. Laurie caught it. He caught it. He had to navigate that mound, and he did as best he could, and somehow he caught it. That is a sensational play by Laurie. Ibar did the smart thing, tag up and went to second.
And that's exactly right. But boy, this is such a tough play because the uphill part, the back of the mound, you know you're going to fall. And he's waiting right there, and he knows, catch it, brace yourself, go down. And he actually threw to second from his backside with his right leg tucked underneath his body. It is a great play. And, you know, we thought that he was going to be able to cover the foul territory here at the Coliseum, man. He just proved it again. Right foot stuck into the uphill part of the mound.
So a great play by Laurie, and a heads-up play by Ibar. And here's Robertson. Ibar sees what's going on, and that's a smart play.
Absolutely. And really, the only thing you can or shouldn't even think about doing is tagging with a ball in foul territory. And we're always shocked whenever you see the base runner not doing that.
Soft one hopper to Davis, steps on the bag, and again Casimir gets out of the jam. A runner stranded in scoring position. Bottom of the fourth inning, going to be Zobrist, Reddick, and Laurie, and the A's leading 1-0.
July home games for just $89 with a July ballpark pass. For one low price, you can get access to all 13 A's home games in July, including 2 fireworks games and the Hello Kitty bobblehead night. This is a mobile-only offer with all passes accessed through your iPhone or Android phone. Get yours today at athletics.com/ballparkpass.
I got to tell you about my gnome.
You did?
Oh,
yeah,
bright as ever.
Do you use it for driveway? Nope. Didn't get enough.
Nope.
So it's a bright, huh?
It worked perfect. In fact,
great. 9 o'clock last night.
My son Jack said, "Dad, it's working." And the baseball was lit up nice and bright on the sunny gray gnome as it got dark out. Just perfect.
Just like we explained.
It really lights up. It did. It did.
That's great.
Solar powered gnome. Store up a little energy, and when it gets dark, it's nice and bright. I was going to take a picture and send it to you, but my phone was out of charge. really was. Because I know that Saturday night before Father's Day, what you really want from me is text. With
well, you know, and I was thinking about you as it got darker. I said, I know my partner someplace with his home. He's just waiting for it to get really dark.
Just staring at it, waiting for the baseball to light up. It works. That's the best part about it is it works. It works the way it's supposed to.
And you know what? 14,999 other people did the same thing.
I hope so, because it was working good.
And if not, those people who didn't,
sorry, I'm keeping mine.
Yeah, well, they'll be going out and doing it sometime soon. They'll try it. I still want to drive by somebody and see all these Sonny Gray gnomes on the driveway. That would be cool. That means somebody got a lot of gnomes.
Big A's fans.
Yeah.
2-0 to Reddick. At the knees, first strike. The Rangers and the White Sox are tied 2-2. Going to extra innings in Chicago.
Again.
It's the rubber game of that series. Yeah, they've had a couple of great games, and today makes another one. 3-1. We will see those Rangers on Tuesday in Arlington. Just looking at some of their numbers, Ray, they've actually been a much better road team than a home team this year. 3-1 to Reddick. He bounces it just foul. There's the 3-1 sharp breaking ball.
Well, and Reddick, remember, got it 3-2. Now the dilemma for Josh Reddick. He just got the 3-1 curveball. The old saying about throw it 3-1, throw it 3-2. I've heard me say that many times. So as a hitter, you're thinking he threw it to me 3-2, just did it 3-1. Is he going to throw a fastball or a curveball? I'd look fastball.
And it was, and it's lined to left center field. Robertson hustles over. He does a nice job of getting to it, and he gets it back in. That's a nice play out in left field by Daniel Robertson. A 1-out single. Hey, let's take a look at that Tuesday pitching matchup. It's brought to you by Chevron. This is Chavez and Chichi Gonzalez, the young right-hander. Coverage starts at 4:30 from Arlington with A's pregame live. So that'll be the first of a 3-game series. And the Rangers at home this year, 15-16. On the road, 22-16. So overall, Texas 5 games over 500 and 2.5 back of Houston. So it's supposed to be nice and warm and windy in Arlington, and that's
a shock.
We've come to expect. A's have had decent success so far against the Rangers. They're 6-4 first 10 games played. Taps slowly. Ibar waits, throws to second to get the out there. And so Giovatello there, Ray, he did the right thing. Instead of thinking about a double play, almost become a first baseman. Stretch out a little bit and just make sure you get the out at second, because you're not going to turn a double play, but you will see some guys try to rush it and turn a double play.
Well, that's just a matter of not trying to do too much, and you're right. Stretch and know the speed of the hitter, know the way the ball was hit, and the fact that Ibar is going to give him a good throw to take this runner at second. And if you come across the bag, you might miss the bag, you might throw the ball in the seats, and with 2 outs, put a runner in scoring position. So a smart play all the way around.
Here's Ike Davis with 2 outs. And the first pitch is a strike on the outside corner.
And you're talking about the home records. Of course, the A's 13 wins, but the Indians 13-21 at home starting today, which is a shock. But the Indians today playing Tampa Bay.
Indians won.
1-0. How about that?
Great start by a rookie starting pitcher. They beat the Rays 1-0. So 0-2 to Ike Davis. The second strike was quite a bit outside, called a strike. So Carlos Perez says, well, you know what? I'm going to stay on the outside corner and then move out about 2 feet.
That's old school.
That's right. That's Ray Fosse right there.
And that's when we could get away with it. They're not supposed to get away with it now if they look at that CD, that DVD. Matt Price has figured out for them.
2-2 now to Davis, who grounded out to second in the second. Astros are leading the Mariners 2-1 in the 4th inning in Seattle. Mariners going for the 3-game sweep, but trailing by a run early in that game. Davis checks his swing, and they'll check with Greg Gibson. So a full count. That'll get Laurie on the move.
Greg Gibson got it right. No swing there. Strong forearms to stop. And Navarro will play behind Brett Laurie. I'd love to see Brett Laurie run. He's got those high chopping steps and pant legs pulled up high with those green and gold stirrup socks.
And here's the pitch, and it's a swing and a miss at a pitch in the dirt. That is strikeout number 3 for Garrett Richards. Runner stranded. And we are headed to the 5th inning on Father's Day. It'll be Navarro, Giovitella, and Calhoun. And we got a 1-0 A's lead. Lowest home ERA. Little home cooking. Scott Kazmir, 1.27 ERA here at the Coliseum. Jason Chavez on that list, 1.75. Kazmir, like most pitchers, good ballpark to pitch in, even though the ball carries a little bit better during the day.
Well, 6 fly ball outs in the first 4 innings, so that's right on par for him. And Kazmir, being the fly ball pitcher that he is, then those things are going to happen.
And Ray, even though the ball travels better during the day, it doesn't make it a hitter's park. Exactly. It's still pretty fair. I think it's probably pretty fair during the day and leans toward a pitcher's park at night.
Well, look at the ball that Perez hit that Laurie caught at the bullpen. That ball is in the seats. It's not even close. And that's a fly ball out. But, you know, bottom line, with the foul territory here, pitchers love it. Hitters don't like it. In the case of Perez, because and the bat was taken away because of a ball that normally would be in the seats.
0-2 to Efren Navarro. He bounces one up the middle. Simeon cannot quite get it, and Kazmir's probably going to be a little hacked off. He had Navarro 0-2, and he just bounced one right back up the middle for a leadoff single.
And falling off just enough that he could not handle the ball just maybe to his left. See, he's falling off just about now his farther to, because he doesn't fall off that much, which is a good sign, but it's just out of his reach. Simeon wanted to keep his feet in case he caught the ball. He could throw him out. If he leaves his feet, then Navarro's going to get the infield hit anyway.
So here's the leadoff man, Giovitella, who rolls one foul. Giovitella has fouled out and grounded out. He's 4 for 8 in this series, overall hitting .279. Calhoun to follow, and then after Calhoun, Trout. And that one hit high down the left field line, but foul. Plenty of distance by Giovitella.
I think he guessed changeup and got it.
He did.
And he likes the pitches up in the zone. The high fastball hit yesterday for the double. Got to wave if you're going to stand there.
That's right.
He knew it was foul.
Do the Carlton. 0-2 delivered to Giovitella is a fastball outside. So that hit by Navarro was the 5th hit for the Angels. A's have 4. Neither team has made an error. Davis out in front of first base just a little bit, and a swing and a miss by Giovitella, and Kazmir gets strikeout number 4.
And a changeup that was left up and a fastball down in the zone. Got a little bit extra. And I think everybody remembers Scott Kazmir as a mid-90s, upper 90s fastball pitcher, but now more of a pitcher using all of his pitches, but having a little bit in reserve in the tank when he needs it, and Giovitella just got it.
So here is Cole Calhoun. This is an important hitter with Trout in the on-deck circle. Trout already has a couple of hits. And there's a fastball at the knees for a strike. Calhoun a single and a walk. He's 2 for 10 in this series. Sets up outside, and the pitch is outside, but a little bit low. Kazmir will throw pitch number 79 for 1 out here in the 5th inning. Grounded towards Zobrist. Scoops, fires to second for 1, back to first. Whoa. Double play.
How about that?
So the A's turn the 4-6-3 double play, and that is it for the Angels in the top of the 5th inning. Bottom of the 5th coming up, 1-0 Athletics. returned by the Athletics.
Well, you said a right, big hitter, and Zobrist to Semien, and Semien a strong throw to get the speedy Calhoun, and what a great play started by Ben Zobrist, getting the lead runner, happy with that, but then coming across the bag was Marcus Semien, avoiding the hard slide by Navarro, and Damian Semien likes it, and we all like it because it seems now the hard work paying off. Semien a lot more comfortable, confident at shortstop, and that was an outstanding double play to get out of the inning.
First pitch to Canna is fouled just above us, almost in our booth.
Is there somebody up in that camera, Will?
I don't think so.
Because if there is somebody up there, they got a ball.
I don't think anybody's up there. That's got the look of NFL camera.
I was going to say.
1 to Canna, and now 0-2 to Canna. Canna grounded out to third back in the 3rd inning. So the only run in the game, a Billy Burns 1-out RBI single that scored Fold in the 3rd inning. Pitch is hit high in the air, hit pretty well to right. Calhoun has got room though. Edge of the track, 1 out.
Well, it's going to be coming up soon. The Kansas City Athletics host the Kansas City Royals as we turn back the clock to 1965 Saturday, June the 27th. That's next Saturday. The then KCA's club featured Bert Campaneris, John Bloom and Odom, who will both throw out the game ceremonial first pitches. 20,000 fans will receive a Charlie O throwback T-shirt presented by Ross, which depicts the iconic A's mule mascot from the 1960s and 70s. Oh, I can't wait. Should be a fun afternoon.
Pitch to Fold is low. Fold, the 1-out double before Burns is hit. There's a strike with a fastball, 94 miles an hour. See, today the Angels put Jared Weaver on the disabled list. Jared Weaver pitched yesterday, took the loss, but he's got an inflammation in his hip. He's on the disabled list. It's very strange when you see a guy pitch the day before and then the next day he's on the disabled list, but it's not an arm injury. Again, his hip.
Well, Friday night we watched Sonny Gray catch the line drive back up the middle and fell down, landing on his elbow. Remember, Jared Weaver did that a couple years ago in Texas to start the season and fractured his left elbow, not his throwing. Sam Fold started the swing.
Could have been.
It could have been. Probably should have been. But Greg Gibson still thinking about the challenge back in the 2nd inning.
Big swing by Fold, bounces it foul. Watch the reaction of Mark Canna's dad.
Fastball, nice carry on this sunny afternoon. Go. Go, get up. Not holding anything back, is he?
And the 3-2 pitch is low. So Fold has a walk.
He threw Ike Davis a curveball last inning, 3-2. He threw Josh Reddick back in the 2nd inning, but remember last inning he threw him a fastball and then a fastball Sam Fold, 3-2. So maybe just put in the thought in the back of the hitter's mind that he might throw it 3-2. But this time a fastball, Sam Fold took it perfectly.
So here's Burns. This is the base hit. Knocked in the game's only run.
Backdoor breaking ball, and key there was Robertson getting the ball quickly enough to hold Billy to just a base hit, but a big one, RBI single.
That extended Burns' hitting streak. It's now at 12 games. On base percentage at .370. Under Richards' leg, right near the bag at second. Giovatello has it, and he gets the out at second. But Burns is safe at first. Rolled right through the legs of Richards, and Giovatello When he picked it up, he was standing right by second base.
That's when you know you're fast. That if a ball is hit and the second baseman just has to catch the ball, tag the bag, and throw, and Billy Burns just able to beat it out. That is tremendous speed for Billy Burns out the left-handed batter's box, and good job really also by Sam Full to get down quickly enough that Givatelli could not get a lot on his throw, and that's thanks to Sam Full and the hustle of Billy Burns. And now let's see if he runs in this at bat.
And the first pitch is inside to Semien, who has grounded out and struck out. And let's also see if Marcus Semien gives him an opportunity to run. Certainly helps when the first pitch is a ball. Burns not running outside, 2-0.
Always think about Ricky Henderson telling Dwayne Murphy, who Murph did a great job hitting behind Ricky. Ricky stealing all of his bases, but Ricky always told Murph, don't take pitches from me. If you get a fastball, which you're probably going to get a lot because Murph was a left-handed hitter, and blocked the catcher just enough.
This one's foul back, and the count is 2-1.
You can imagine, I know Ted Sizemore hit behind Lou Brock in St. Louis when Brock stole all the bases, and you have to have somewhat of a patient hitter. In the case of a right-hander, you can see the runner take off who has green light, and you can stop your swing. In the case of Murph, he was a left-handed hitter with Ricky at first, and he just had that knack of knowing when to take them.
And you know what, Ray? There's so many different ways that it can go. I mean, if you're the second place hitter, you may say, hey, you know what? I want him to get to second base because that's an RBI opportunity for me. But then if first base is open, the pitcher may pitch more carefully to you if you're the hitter. 2-2. Burns not running, and the ball's popped up on the infield. It's going to be the first baseman for Navarro, who grabs it side retired. A runner left, and we are through 5 in Oakland, and the A's leading 1-0. Sportsnet California is brought to you by Sonoma Raceway. Don't miss the Toyota Save Mart 350 and Jeff Gordon's final race, June 26th through the 28th at Sonoma Raceway. Visit racesonoma.com for tickets. Ooh, that looks like fun. A little jet ski action.
Wow.
So if you're not at the ballpark, a jet ski would not be a terrible thing to be driving around. 5 groundouts, 6 flyouts, 4 strikeouts for Scott Kazmir. And Trout off the leg. It'll be Trout, Pujols, and Freeze. Trout's going to get a little time here.
Wow. Straight down, straight up. Got a lot of his body. Foot, though, is the most important. Off the left foot, Scott Kazmir. Not so much a big sinker ball pitcher, but enough that Trout was on top of it and hit it straight down. And don't let that be fooled, because he'll still run.
Yes, he will. Maybe we'll give Trout the time that he needs. Trout has singled twice, both to right field.
It's amazing somebody at the speed of Trout, how the numbness just goes away.
And that'll do it for Trout. So he's not feeling all that great, and it doesn't help that he just struck out. So that's strikeout number 5.
Albert.
So the breakdown: 5 starts this year for Kazmir against the AL West. Terrific. 8 starts versus the other divisions. He has not won. He's 0-4. Trout, or Kazmir, won his first 2 starts this year against Texas and Houston. And since then, he has just 1 win in 11 starts. Doesn't mean he's pitched poorly. He just has not been able to get a win.
In those 2 starts, just gave up a total of 1 run. That was it.
He beat the Rangers on June 11th. That's the 1 win in his last 11 starts. 2-0 to Pujols. Just a touch low. 3-0. Pujols, a fly ball to right and a line drive, or a fly ball to center and a line drive to right. And that one's outside, 4-pitch walk. Smells good in here, Ray. What do you got?
Well, daughters Nikki and Lindsay couldn't be here for Father's Day, so Nikki and Jim, her husband, Matthew and Joseph, the grandsons, Scott and Lindsay, and their new baby Madeline, sent this. And boy, does that look good with the balloons. Happy Father's Day and thinking of you, but that looks good.
Yeah. Where are you going to start?
Wherever you want.
Nice. I appreciate you sharing that with me. How about a double play right here?
Love it.
Dugout by Davis. And for the 2nd inning in a row, the A's turn a double play. And nothing for the Angels. Bottom of the 6th coming up. 1-0 A's.
Billy Burns stays hot. Hitting streak continues. The only run batted in, the only run of the game. Brett Laurie, outstanding play down the left field line in the bullpen. And then Scott Kazmir, a couple of double plays. Good big strikeout there of Freeze to end the inning. And then another strikeout on the changeup Perez. But Scott Kazmir, the last 2 innings have ended on double plays, turned nicely by Zobrist. That started it. The last one was started by Brett Lawrie at third base. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PICK. AT&T, mobilizing your world. Oh, that is. Look at Joe. Yeah, that's Joe.
Yeah, that was the hand of Joe McCarthy, our stage manager, who was on his 4th piece of fruit.
That's good, though. I just had a chocolate-covered strawberry. Excellent.
That smells good, that's for sure.
Well, that's very nice of our daughters. Carol and I have 2 wonderful daughters, and Nikki and Lindsay, and of course their families and grandkids. And so, thank you. It's very nice.
And Joe thanks you as well. He's got chocolate all over his face.
If Marty were here today, it'd all be gone.
Hit high and foul down the left field line. Want to wish a happy Father's Day to my dad, who turned 90 earlier this month. So
that's great.
He's on the couch watching the game. Again, he's a happy man when he's got a doubleheader to his 2 favorite teams. So
that's right.
He can watch this, and he'll settle in and get ready for the Giants games.
That's right.
Doubleheaders are a good day for Henry back in Racine, Wisconsin.
And plus, he'll probably be in bed about 9 o'clock because of the time change. So it'd be great for him.
He's not afraid to doze off in the middle of the game, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. When you're 90, you can do whatever you want. Stephen Vogt with a leadoff single, and I think at this point the A's would like to grab an insurance run or 2.
On a great 2-strike swing by Stephen Vogt, who walked in the first inning. And it's a reputation that Stephen Vogt is starting to have around the league, and I think that is, hey, he's hot. Pitch him carefully, and walked on 5 pitches in the first inning. Took the 3-0. He had another 3-2 count. Second at bat, this time 0-2, and gets a base hit the opposite field.
Zobrist rolls it foul, knocked down by Ty Waller. Zobrist has grounded out, and he has lined out, so he's 0 for 2. 2 for 10 in the series. So 5 hits for each team. Richards delivers, and Zobrist cannot hold up, so it's 0-2. .85 pitches for Richards. The only inning that really got him in trouble was the 3rd, and that, of course, is when the A's got their run. The 0-2 pitch is a breaking ball, and Zobrist fouls it straight back. Nice crowd today. A little over 29,000 at the Coliseum. Zobrist rolls another one foul. Ty Waller's getting his workout in. Ty looks smooth over there. Maybe Ron Washington's working with Ty as well. Wash, a couple booths over. Done his work for the day. Reddick to follow here in the bottom of the 6th inning. That curveball from Richards. He loves to throw it. Here's Ron Washington. Hit up the middle, and that's a base hit into center field. And Vogt's going to try for 3rd. Trout's throw is late. Good hustle by Stephen Vogt. And the A's have 1st and 3rd.
Well, that's taking a page out of the Angels right there. Up the middle, and Stephen Vogt could have just stopped at 2nd and had 1st and 2nd. Instead, pushed the envelope. Mike Trout kept the throw low. They hit the cutoff man, but how about this at bat by Ben Zobrist? Up the middle with a solid base hit. And Stephen Vogt said, yeah, I can run. I'm a catcher, but it doesn't matter. And really, I don't know that Garrett Richards was even backing up, and that's why Freese at 3rd made sure he caught the ball, because nobody expected Stephen Vogt to test it. He did. Kept his hand on the bag and said, thank you. And there he's looking at Trout. Ball slowed down a little bit by the grass. The ball hit on the ground. And I don't think Garrett Richards is anywhere in sight backing up third base and probably not even thinking about Stephen Vogt going there.
And you know, the reason why Vogt could do that, Trout was playing very deep in center field.
Yeah, good point.
And if he's playing almost, say, more of a normal spot, I don't think Vogt tries it. But boy, Trout was very deep.
And really, as an outfielder, and Stephen Vogt as a catcher, you know, certain guys just aren't expected to run. And we have seen Stephen Vogt take an extra base. He does it here, but also base hits, turn them into doubles. And Mike Scioscia's going to go halfway with Josh Reddick and actually point to the plate, which would indicate they're trying to cut down the runner at the plate.
And Reddick with a line drive. Giovitella grabs it at the shoe tops, and that's out number 1. So tough break there for Reddick. Giovitella playing in, just reached down on a low backhand.
Well, that close to being into the outfield, and now they will play back. That is a great play by Ben Zobrist not to get overly anxious and try to run. You're going to advance just one base anyway. Make sure it goes through. And Josh Reddick, an opportunity there, and can't hit it any harder than that. Now the Angels will go for 2.
So the first pitch to Laurie, and here it is. It's inside with a fastball. Laurie a double, and then he reached on a fielder's choice. So a big spot in the game. He's trying to add on. Angels knowing that Kazmir Sharp.
But that last curveball, there's your high strike, the high curveball that was not called earlier that Richards thought he should have gotten. This time, though, probably higher than the one he wanted earlier. But he throws it hard. It's not really considered a hanging curveball because he throws it so hard.
Inside, Laurie bends back out of the way. 2-1 the count.
Laurie, open stance, closes up, and then the pitch up and in. So typically, if an open stance and closing like that, they want to try to pitch him in. That's a little bit too far off the plate.
Two-one pitch. Here it is. Fouled straight back. Fastball in a little bit. So 2-2 now to Laurie. Zobrist to runners, and the pitch is hit hard into left field. A base hit. So Laurie comes through, knocks home Vogt, and it's 2-0 Athletics.
Well, you know, the fact that Brett Laurie hit the fastball in his first at-bat, a double to right field, throw him a curveball, and of course the go-to pitch for Richards, the curveball, but for Brett Laurie, thank you. As it sped up his bat, stayed on the inner half of the plate, and great job pulling the hands in. And kind of your assessment of Brett Laurie and being hot, right on, because he is swinging the bat well. Gets a 2-strike curveball and hammers it into left field. And Stephen Vogt going to third base makes it a lot easier to score from there than a second on a ball that was hit hard by Laurie.
So Laurie picks up his 31st RBI, and here's Ike Davis. Fastball up and away to Ike Davis, who has grounded out, and he has struck out.
Okay, if you go in the dugout, the clubhouse after the game, you see Stephen Vogt just limping around with ice all over his body, and then you see him go first to third on a ball up the middle. Makes you wonder how they do it, but it's amazing the adrenaline and what happens when you get on the field.
Now Richards misses again, 2-0, and we're going to get some action. Trevor Gott comes in. Richards a little frustrated. He's given up 3 hits here in the 6th inning. I think anytime a pitcher who's got as good a stuff as Garrett Richards, they give up 3 hits in an inning. They're not used to that.
And you know what, Cat? All 3 have come with 2 strikes.
Yeah.
0-2 to Vogt, 0-2 to Zobrist. Also by Vogt to third base. 2-2 to Brett Laurie.
And he's a strikeout guy.
Yes, he is, especially with that devastating curveball. But he's really left the curveballs up in this inning. And maybe with the runner at third, that helped as well.
Blasted to left center. Trout going back near the wall and off the top of the wall. And now the runners are going to have to hustle. Zobrist being waved home. The throw to the plate, not in time. Maybe the longest single of Ike Davis's career. It hit high off the wall in left center field, but the runners had to make sure that it wasn't caught. Trout, you're thinking he's got a chance to catch it, so it ends up being an RBI single.
Zobrist was tagging. And again, with one out, you go halfway. Ben, because of Trout, had gone back, and with the ball coming off the wall, fortunately from second base, everybody else is like a track meet, waiting for the baton to be passed. But off the wall, cammed a little bit past, and Zobrist, he's going to catch it, so I'm going to tag. And then all of a sudden, he goes from second base, and he's sprinting. Fortunately, the ball carried him off the wall enough that it didn't come back immediately to Trout, but the other two had to stop. They could not advance, and it should have been a double off the wall. Second and third, but
so here's Canna. Canna bounces when fouled at the plate. So 4 hits in the inning for the A's, and it's now 3-0. 4 singles. So 8 hits in the game for the Athletics.
Boy, if Mike Gallego had to stop Zobrist at third, he would have pulled the rest of his hair out. And there's only so much you could do coaching third base, and fortunately, the A's were able to score.
Swinging and a miss, and it's 0-2 to Canna, who is grounded out and flied out.
How many times do you say it, Kite, with 2 outs? It's a moot point. It's a double. Maybe even 2 runs batted in instead of 1 out. Everybody holding up. And Dad's waiting again. Let's see what can happen.
To delivery, here it is. Big curve looped into center field, but Trout is there. Trout has it. So that's the second out.
Mark Canha hasn't played since Wednesday, so I have to give him a little bit of a pass, but it was really the numbers for Billy Butler today against Garrett Richards. Not that good. Scott Kazmir has been outstanding. Got a couple of double plays his last 2 innings. And so far, his ERA against his former team has dropped drastically because of 6 shutout innings.
So now it's up to Fold to try to add on. The A's have scored twice here in the 6th to make it a 3-0 game. And the first pitch to Sam Fold is low. Fold has doubled and scored, and he has walked. Astros leading the Mariners 3-1 in the 5th inning in Seattle. Astros trying to avoid being swept on the road. There's a strike. Astros will be in Anaheim to take on these Angels tomorrow night. Full swings and misses and loses the grip of the bat.
Fortunately, goes straight back as Sam fooled, and it's always that look on a hitter's face. Watch this look by Sam Fold when he swings and back goes. He goes, "What happened?"
Whoa.
Again, it's protected back behind home plate, which is good.
One-two delivery is bounced fair toward first. Navarro has it. Steps on the bag side, retired. So good inning for the A's. They get 2 runs on 4 hits. So we're on to the 7th. It's now 3-0. The A's lead.
June 21st, 1964, on Father's Day, Phillies pitcher Jim Bunning, who at the time had 7 children, pitches a perfect game against the Mets at Shea Stadium. He reached only a 3-ball count on 2 hitters, struck out John Stevenson to complete the perfect game. The first game of a doubleheader and the first perfect game thrown by a National League pitcher. How about this? 84 years. It was also his second no-hitter as a Tiger in 1958. The Senator, Jim Bunning. Great man, great pitcher, and a perfecto on Father's Day. How about that? Hey, kids, here's a gift for you.
That's right.
A perfect 7 kids. Here's a gift for you. A perfect game. How's that?
Ibar to lead it off. And a soft one-hopper towards Simeon. Throws just in time to get Ibar 1 out. And that'll bring up Carlos Perez. Good first pitch strike numbers for Scott Kazmir. Trying to beat his former team for just the 3rd time in his career. So here's Perez, who has struck out and fouled out. Laurie made a nice play way down by the bullpen. Kazmir also closing in on 100 career wins. He's got 94. He's 94 and 83. So let's hope he gets that this year. He certainly should be able to do that. With the shift on, that one's rolled into right field for a base hit. And that time the shift did not work. It was nothing more than a ground ball. About as routine as you could get right to the second baseman if he was playing in his normal spot.
Where is he? Over there.
I think too, Ray, is it's still in your mind, whether you're the pitcher or us sitting up here, your mind still has the second baseman playing in that spot where they've played for 100 years. But we understand the shift, and it obviously works. Otherwise, teams wouldn't be doing it. But if you're the pitcher and you see the ball hit and where it's going, you're like, that's an out. Right. Even though you may know where the shift is, but just your initial thought is there's a guy there. There's always been a guy there.
Yeah, and I think what they'll always do is look at, well, a percentage of times he will pull the ball into the shift, other times he won't, and you know those are the ones that are emphasized, but they don't. But my contention a lot of times is if you have a player, Perez, he hasn't even shown up since this year. You know, and sometimes you look at a player, do you really have enough information on him, and if he's going to be able to do the things that you're setting up to do or have him to do.
So 1-2 the count to Daniel Robertson.
You know how to play him, though. Big Albert.
Yeah. Other side of the wall.
Yeah, the barbecue terrace on Friday night would have been a dangerous place, considering the bullet he hit there.
1-2 popped up. It'll be into the dugout and then up over top the dugout. So the count remains 1-2 to Robertson, with Navarro, left-handed hitter, waiting in the on-deck circle.
Well, great crowd today, too, to watch an excellent game for the Athletics. And that is number 1. He pulls that T-shirt out every Father's Day. Wears the same one.
Wash it, fold it up.
That's right. 364 days from right now, put the thing on again. Mother's Day this year was spent in Seattle. So Father's Day special for the parents, the fathers, able to come out and watch baseball today, and boy, there's been a good crowd to watch them.
Lots of sunshine.
All
right. Hold on to that, youngster. Oh yeah.
Ready to throw it.
He's at the perfect age to throw it back.
That's a good one.
So another 1-2, and it's to Simeon. Out at second. Zobrist throw to first, not quite in time. So So the A's trying for their third double play in the game, could not quite turn it.
Throw just a little bit offline as the timing by Zobrist coming across the bag, had to reach back. Simeon, the feed, and there the reach, and strong arm by Zobrist just could not complete it.
Look at that. Hold on to the baby.
Nice reach, nice stretch.
That was impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, she deserves high fives.
Especially to grab the ball before the kid can throw it back. It's a great catch.
There is a certain age where you better watch.
Yeah.
Fouled into the seats. So 0-2 to Efren Navarro. Right at 100 pitches is Scott Kazmir. He threw just 81 in that start in San Diego in his 5 innings. He's got 2 walks, he's got 5 strikeouts, and he's been terrific. Navarro fouls it straight back. It's foul ball alley there. In fact, that one went down the walkway. Drew Pomeranz, the lefty, getting loose. Pitch number 102, and here it is. And another foul ball.
Well, staying with the fastball, and Navarro on the 0-2 pitch. His last at bat hit a breaking ball up the middle, so this time staying with the fastball. Navarro getting a lot of playing time either in left field or at first base today with Albert Pujols as a DH. Navarro moving from left to first.
Curveball, and Navarro fights it off. So 6 hits allowed so far for Scott Kazmir. Trying to get through the 7th. The managers love when their starting pitcher gets through the 7th. It's just make everything a little bit easier. Comes to your bullpen, and that one swing and a miss. Vogt picks it up, flips to first, side retired. 6 strikeouts for Scott Kazmir. And as we've reached the 7th inning stretch on Father's Day, the Athletics leading the Angels 3-0. reached the bottom of the 7th inning with the A's leading 3-0, trying to win the series. When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. Trevor Gott comes in. So the young right-hander who a week ago today made his major league debut against the Athletics down in Anaheim. He's making his 4th appearance overall, has yet to allow a run. The numbers for Richards. He finishes with 105 pitches, 6 innings, 8 hits, 3 runs for Garrett Richards. So he will not get his 8th win. Came in with a 7-4 record. So here's Trevor Gott.
But much better for Garrett Richards than a start last year in which he didn't get out of the first inning. He had one in New York this year, also against the A's last year. Yankees got to him.
Robertson, playing shallow, comes in and makes a nice play. That's how you have to play Billy Burns. Play him shallow.
Well, they played him shallow, and the base hit that he got in the 3rd inning kept him to a single. But still, very good hitting, or at least approach by Billy Burns.
First pitch to Simeon, fastball first strike, 97 miles an hour from Trevor Gott. Heads up. Simeon today, a ground out, a strikeout, and a pop out. Just a bit outside. So Gott, as we're seeing, throwing very hard, and it's kind of a 3/4 delivery, which maybe adds a little movement. This one driven into right center, hit well. Trout on the move, and Trout is going to get there. Makes the catch.
Show off.
Yeah, he is showing off. He let Calhoun know that he had it all the way. You hate Ray that he's on the Angels, but he is fun to watch.
He is fun. I mean, he covers so much ground. His speed, whether going in, going back, and he's telling Trout or Calhoun there that he did have it. And really, if you're a corner outfielder, you could just take it easy because Trout can cover so much ground. He thought his son was going to have extra bases, was not the case, but did it well. And I think for Marcus Semien, and he's thinking now about his offense, but one thing he's got to be very proud of is the way he has turned the corner defensively and playing very well at shortstop. And everybody, and they all should realize, and I'm sure they do, is that defense is first and foremost, and game is tough as a hitter anyway. But you play defensive.
Here comes Trout again, and Trout will get to that one. So Trout has it covered, right center, left center, anywhere you want. 3-0 as we go to the 8th. So top of the 8th inning. It's 3-0 the A's lead, and Scott Kazmir back to work for the A's, and he faces the top of the order. So with that in mind, there's action out in the bullpen as Tyler Clippard is warming up. Giovitella takes a bit outside, so 2-0 the count. Giovitella, Calhoun, and Trout here in the 8th. So this becomes the hot inning, right, Ray?
Yes, again.
With these guys coming up.
And probably batter to batter for Scott Kazmir with the closer, Tyler Clippard. And remember, an off day tomorrow. 4-out save yesterday for Clippard.
Giovitella is 0 for 3 today. Inside, and now the count is 3-1. The White Sox beat the Rangers 3-2 in 11 innings. It was a Gordon Beckham walk-off home run. So the White Sox take 2 out of 3 from the Rangers in Chicago. 3-1 pitch in for a strike.
Taking all the way was Giovitella and trying to get on in front of the power of this lineup. You have to think that for Kazmir, as you see the pitch count 109, this batter Calhoun, the lefty, in the on deck circle, and then righties after that.
Giovitella asks for time and gets it. Vogt and Kazmir making sure they're on the same page. Astros leading the Mariners 3-2. Top of the 6th inning in Seattle. Payoff pitch to Giovitella is low, and he walked in. So that's walk number 3 by Kazmir. A's Baseball on Comcast Sportsnet California is brought to you by Prism. Now your team can collaborate at a whole new level with video walls from Prism. Learn how at prism.com. A look at the on Father's Day. 29,137 is the attendance today. Here's Calhoun. And he takes outside. Calhoun a single, a walk, and then he hit into a 4-6-3 double play, and Vogt and Kazmir are going to chat again. Kazmir goes for a long walk. Vogt says, I'll wait right here for you.
Well, now Bob Melvin's going out, and this is more of a discussion maybe to see how he's feeling, how he's okay, because, or if he's okay, because when he walked off the mound, maybe some question about that. Right, overthrew a fastball and it's going to leave him in.
Very close pitch.
And maybe he's upset about the call, and that's the reason Stephen Vogt went out.
So game on the line with Trout waiting in the on deck circle. 1-0 the count. And Calhoun popped it up. Never an easy play with the sunshine, but it looks like Fuld has it. And he did. Had it all the way.
And now Melvin's going to go to his right-hander. So today looking for a 5-out save from Tyler Clippard.
And you know, I think it helps too, Ray, that you got an off day tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
So Clippard in, and Kazmir leaves after a terrific performance.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Coming into pitch for the Athletics, number 20. Number 36, rather, Tyler Clippard, replacing number 26, Scott Kazmir.
Comcast Sportsnet California is brought to you by Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places. And by Xfinity, home of the most live sports.
So Scott Kazmir, 7 1/3 shutout innings today, and he's going to let Tyler Clippard take over. Clippard's going to need 5 outs to get the save as he faces Trout with Giovatello at first and 1 out. First pitch to Trout, and he's taken all the way. It's in for a strike. When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. So the numbers for Clippard: 1 and 3, 2.83 ERA. He's got 11 saves. He's got 2 blown saves. Clippard pitched and got the save yesterday. Through 28 pitches, and it was a 4-out save. So he worked overtime yesterday, and he'll have to do it again today.
And he's happy to be able to do it. Remember, for a while he wasn't even pitching, not even getting to him, and because the 8th inning had been the big issue for the Athletics. So now he comes in as he did yesterday, doing it again today.
Quick throw to first. Giovatello is back. Houston Street is loosening up out in the Angels bullpen.
And let's hope it's just for work, because he didn't pitch Friday, started to get up, and then the Angels added 2 more in the 9th inning after the 8th spot in the 7th.
And that one is inside, so now it's 2-1. Pujols waits in the on-deck circle. A's play Trout a little bit toward right center in the outfield. Trout's 2 singles today have both gone to right field. He struck out in the 6th inning. Two-one pitch, fastball away, foul back.
There's a case of a location of a fastball being just enough away from the powerful swing of Mike Trout. They fouled it back. If this is anywhere closer to the inside part of the plate, I mean, he has power going to the opposite field for the home run. A couple of hits today to right field, but inner part of the plate, he can turn on it quickly.
So Giovatello with his lead. Clippard maybe not worried about him stealing so much, but just letting him know that he's aware. Now he's ready. And the pitch to Trout missed outside, and now it's a full count. Moments with Trout, and then Pujols to hit next. Giovatello not running, and the ball's popped up left field. Fold now trots in, and Fold has it, and that's the 2nd out. Well, you hit a ball like that, I can't imagine you missed it by a whole lot.
Nope. And that's it, just straight up. He knew it, and the fact that maybe just looking for something a little bit more than what he got, knew it was a strike, and maybe not the real good fastball from Clippard, and you see him out on the front foot and kind of lifted it up instead of driving it, which is a good sign for the A's.
So 2 away. Here's Pujols. Freeze would be next. First pitch to Pujols is a fastball that's high.
Check the front side and there, and then very strong, but when he got under it, he knew it.
Trout 2 for 4 now in the ball game. Missed again high. This was with the changeup. So now Pujols ahead in the count, 2-0. A double and a home run in his career against Clippard. Today Pujols is 0 for 2 with a walk.
The good thing about those numbers with the A's leading 3-0, especially the home run with Trout making out, is just the one runner on base with this man at the plate.
That was a late ball strike. Pujols snaps around and chats with Chris Siegel, and it was very much a delayed strike call.
And that will always frustrate everybody. So 1001, 1002. And normally they call it when it crosses a plate, and that was a long time.
Three and one now as Clippard misses with fastball, 93 miles an hour.
Remember at first base yesterday, there was a delay call. This young man was at first base on a ball that evidently Pujols did not cleanly catch.
Call got overturned. So 3 and 1. Davis has to reach across his body to make sure that one doesn't sail into foul territory. Pujols with 540 career home runs. There's the play by Ike Davis. Outfield pretty straight away. Deep in center, deep in left. And the pitch is a changeup, and they say Pujols went around.
And I think that's the right call. He tried to sell it, but I think he was fooled on the pitch. And if you watch it, this is what the first base umpire sees. See how the loop of the bat?
Yep,
that's a swing. That's a swing. And he did it quickly, dropped the bat, hit it to first, and couldn't sell it. But Marvin Hudson had him, and really with that loop of the bat, that's really not quite a full swing, but enough for a check swing.
So 3 and 2, Giovitelli at first. He'll take off. There he goes. And the pitch is belted to left and hit a ton. And that one is gone.
Thankfully, Mike Trout made it out.
So Albert Pujols with home run number 21 this year, a 2-run shot to make it a 3-2 game.
Well, and now you wish Marvin Hudson had called it a ball. But Albert Pujols with the 21st, and he felt that one strike was called, delay wasn't a strike, but decided to go to fastball, and he crushed it. So I think he had a little bit of an upset hitter here in Albert Pujols. The way he knew he'd hit it and maybe guessed correctly and getting the fastball 3-2 from Clippard, who has a great changeup, and went heater, and he hit it.
So here's Freese, first pitch in for a strike. So that's the third home run that Pujols has hit against the A's this year. And one of those runs goes on to Scott Kazmier's record. So 1 earned run in 7 1/3 for Kazmier. Freese fouls it back. The ball that was hit out just got thrown back onto the field, and it was thrown back right when Clippard was delivering the baseball, and it rolled all the way to about 10 feet behind the infield dirt, which is probably not a great thing to do. So there's the career home run for Albert Pujols, 541, so 7 away from tying Mike Schmidt. 0-2 pitch, a little flare, and that's going to drop. So Freese loops a single right over the first baseman's head. So the inning continues.
Now the breaking ball, and Freese softly hit to right field. It's going to be removed for a pinch runner. As Kurt Young is going to go out and visit with his right-hander. You know, with Clippard, He does have the breaking pitch, and he was saying kind of between a cutter slider, cutter curveball, and of course the fastball changeup. And hitters can guess, and if they guess correctly, good things can happen. And Pujols, as hot as he is, guessed correctly.
So after 28 pitches yesterday, Clippard has thrown 15 today, and it's only the 8th inning.
That's right.
And it's a 3-2 game. So here's Ibar.
Number 2, Eric Ibar.
So Taylor Featherston is your pinch runner for Freeze. And Ibar steps in. He's 1 for 3 in today's game. Featherston with a big lead. And the pitch is a strike. Ibar is 4 for 11 in the series. So Joe Smith is thinking about warming up. Now he's heading back over to the bullpen bench. I think maybe he's getting a baseball or something. Ibar fouls it straight back. So Clippard ahead 0-2. Featherston has a couple of steals this year. He's 2 for 3. So that certainly remains a possibility here. Featherston's got a huge lead at first.
Well, this would be the time to run, because
it sure would, wouldn't it?
It's like having you know, your leadoff hitter. You get, I mean, Ibar is a good hitter, and of course you get a runner in scoring position, you have a chance for him to do some magic. But if the runner's thrown out, and Ibar would be leading off the 9th inning, and especially now that he has 2 strikes on him. So I wouldn't be surprised if Featherston runs.
Not running, and Ibar waves at the 0-2 pitch and strikes out. So Albert Pujols does damage, the 2-run homer. So as we head to the bottom of the 8th, it's now the A's 3 and the Angels 2.
Athletics and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Athletics Investment Group, LLC.
All right, here's our game summary brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. 2-8-0 for the Angels, 3-8-0 for the Athletics. Scott Kazmir, very good. 7 1/3, gives up just the 1 run. Albert Pujols, the 2-run homer in the top of the 8th inning. A couple of hits for Brett Lawrie. So the A's hanging on to a 3-2 lead, trying to win the series before heading to Texas. When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. Joe Smith comes in. Joe Smith pitched in Game 1 on Friday. Pitched an inning, 12 pitches, walked 1. Taylor Featherston, who pinch ran for free, stays in the game. So it'll be Zobrist, Reddick, and Laurie. 3-2, the A's lead. Zobrist takes a strike, 1-1 the count. Zobrist a ground out in the first, a line out in the fourth, and a single and a run scored in the sixth. Slider. And catches the corner, and it's 1-2.
Always had the same types of delivery. They kind of drop down, sweeping, breaking ball or the sinker.
This one's hit high in the air. Left center. It'll be Robertson who comes in, and Robertson grabs it. So 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th. Family having a good day at the ball.
Now batting, right fielder, number 22, Josh Reddick.
I like it. The youngest one in charge of the.
Yeah, let's do another one. Oh, the kid's going to get. What happened to the selfies? Could have gotten everybody on the field. Selfie.
Reddick is 1 for 3. A tough break in the 6th inning. Came up with runners at first and third, nobody out, and he lined out to Giovitella, who was playing in. The A's ended up getting 2 runs in that inning anyway, so that out did not hurt the A's. So 2-1. Reddick flips one toward left, and it's a dive, and what a play by Robertson. Oh. A terrific play by Daniel Robertson. We've seen some very good defense in today's game.
Now, the mostly in left field. Trout, of course, covered in center field area, but I mean, he took a chance, and a big chance it was to come up with a ball, and that's why he was pumped up when he made the play, because it was a fair ball. He doesn't catch it. Reddick at least has 2, but he laid out, made the play, and slid into foul territory. You know, when you're new to a club and you get a chance to play, those are the kind of plays that will impress your manager. Walk he had on Friday night definitely impressed Mike Scioscia. Bases loaded walk. Reddick didn't like it.
So 2 away. Laurie, another good day for Laurie, a single and a double and an RBI. Astros still leading the Mariners 3-2, top of the 7th inning. And Smith's sinker is low. There's another strike. So 2-2 the count. Brett Laurie's average with his 2 hits today is now up to 292. Tapped foul. Hard sinker by Smith. Trevor Gott went an inning, so Richards for 6. Gott pitched the 7th. And now Joe Smith here in the 8th. 7 consecutive A's hitters have been retired. Another sinker roll foul as Diego scoops it up. In the top of the 9th inning, the scheduled hitters are Perez, Robertson, and Navarro. There's a couple of left-handed hitters on the Angels bench, Matt Joyce and Kyle Kubica. So we could see those guys, maybe one of them. Laurie did not swing. So it's the bottom three in the order.
That was a check swing, and that could have gone as a strike as well. Maybe he could hit the home run like Albert. Was Albert on a check swing called a strike, and he had a 2-run home run.
This one's hit high in the air toward Trout. Trout grabs it side, retired. So here we go, folks. A's trying to win the series. It's a 3-2 game. It'll be Perez, Robertson, and Navarro coming up.
As we mentioned, not great numbers against his former team, but today was outstanding. High fastball there for the Trout, and good changeup. He had fastball working inside, so all great pitches for Scott Kazmir. A little bit extra on the fastball. Got Trout there, and so good job from Scott Kazmir. 7 1/3 innings following 7 2/3 yesterday by Jesse Hahn. Happy Father's Day to all. And the A's will try to get the final 3 outs and make it a real happy day.
It'll be Carlos Perez to lead it off. Matt Joyce has come out into the on-deck circle. And that one's in for a strike. So Tyler Clippard gave up the home run to Pujols in the 8th. Got a couple of outs, and now he's going to try to get the final 3. It's now 2-1 to Carlos Perez, who's 1 for 3. He singled in the 7th inning. After Joyce, it's Efren Navarro, left-handed hitter. And that one's hit high in the air, down the left field line, and it's just into the seats. So the count even at 2-2. A's clinging to a 3-2 lead. It was 3-0 till Pujols hit that 2-run homer last inning. So Clippard's working hard for his 12th save. Swing and a miss. He struck him out with a high fastball. So good start to the top of the 9th.
Well, you see the changeup was pulled foul and came right back with the heater, similar to what he did to Albert Pujols when Pujols hit the 2-run home run on a high fastball. This one, though, Perez couldn't catch up.
So here's Joyce. Joyce is going to hit for Robertson. And the first pitch drops low to Joyce, who's got decent power, not having a great year. There's 187 with 4 home runs. He's got 11 doubles and a triple. Missed again, 2-0.
Well, one thing you'd hope does not happen is that a hitter guesses correctly, because it's pretty obvious what Tyler Clipper does, and the changeup, fastball are 2 very good pitches, and you can't look for the changeup, expect to hit the fastball.
Miss. So Joyce was probably looking fastball, and he got it, but the pitch was a little bit in.
Yep, just enough in that tied him up a little bit, which is a perfect location.
That one's hit toward Davis. It pops under his glove, and Joyce is going to be aboard. Maybe a little topspin on that one. And so Matt Joyce is aboard. We'll see what the ruling is.
Going to have a pinch runner, and by backpedaling, the top spin did get him, and it's one of those kind of in-betweens. Do you charge it? He decided to go back, and with that last hop, when it has that extra spin on it, makes a big difference right there. And
well, it does pick up speed,
yes,
doesn't it?
It does, big time.
So Alfredo Marte, who was just called up with Weaver going on the disabled list. Alfredo Marte is the pinch runner. Navarro is the hitter. So Marte with his lead, and the first pitch Navarro in first round.
He's got 2 big double plays with Scott Casper on the mound. Innings 5 and 6, could have had one in the 7th almost, but a great way to end the game. Navarro does run well. They have to be hit hard at an infield to return to, but that way avoid turning over the top of the batting order.
Big hole on the right side. And Navarro lays off the changeup, and it's a bit outside. So 1-1 to Navarro. 29 pitches by Clippard today. Marte, the runner at first, and Navarro fouls it. Clippard ahead 1-2.
Interesting, Kike, that there are times that Mike Scioscia would be sending a base runner. Off of the bat, off of, actually the umpire missed Stephen Vogt's catcher's mitt.
Making noise. 1-2 the count. Outfield toward left center for Efren Navarro. And he pops that one foul up over the A's dugout. Giovitella is the on deck hitter. After Giovitella, Calhoun. Prefer that it stops right there.
That's why I'm asking for a double play.
1-2 pitch right there. Strike 3 called. Navarro knew it. It just floated right in there. Navarro could not pull the trigger.
Well, that's a huge out. He looked like he's making contact, staying alive, and Tyler Clippard pulled the string perfectly. Outside corner, Stephen Vogt knew it. Started, stopped, and well, when you see that, once a hitter stops, there's no way he can continue and foul off a pitch, which was perfect.
So here's the leadoff man, Giovitella, who is 0 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. Marte, the runner at first. Quick throw over there. Marte's back. He's got a decent lead. Just called up from the minor leagues. Probably closer than Mike Scioscia would want it to be.
Yeah.
Giovatello takes a bit high.
Typically, closers don't have great moves to hold base runners, but Tyler Clippard is good. Fernando Rodriguez gets loose in the Mays bullpen, but Clippard throws enough to first base, and his delivery and quickness to the plate is enough that sometimes I guess it eliminates the possibility of somebody running. Socialist teams usually run.
Giovatello hits one high in the air to left field. Fold is going back. He's at the wall, and he's got it in front of the wall, and the A's win.
I think Giovatello thought he got it, Kate. But maybe providing your own power, it didn't quite get out. Wow.
So that's how the game ends. And the Angels and Giovatello can't believe it. The A's say, let's get the heck out of here. So that close.
Yeah, they thought Clippard wasn't going anywhere. And hey, celebrate, guys. Wow.
So how about that finish? The A's hang on and win the game, and they win the series.
It looks like Super Sam started to jump, did not have to, thankfully. But that was the old wow that is standing in the yard. And, to see the reaction, see the reactions of Clippard and Vogt, who stood there thinking it's gone. And Tyler Clippard, very, very happy that he did not give up two. First one, but Giovatello cannot believe that he missed it, or did not get it out. Wow.
So what a finish. The A's win it by a final score of 3-2. We all had to hold our breath just for a moment there. But anyways, the A's win the series. And I think that the most impressive thing, Ray, is after what happened on Friday night, the pitching staff bounced back and had two really, really well-pitched games from the starters to the bullpen.
Great point, because what Jesse Hahn did yesterday, pitched into the 8th inning, 7 2/3. Kasmer again pitching into the 8th inning. And, for Bob Melvin twice, back-to-back games to go to the bullpen for Tyler Clippard, his closer. 4 outs yesterday, 5 today. A little bit more shaky today, but they do have the off day tomorrow. They can rest up before Arlington, Texas. But, Bob Bell is trying to get to Clippard. Well, this is the way to do it. Put him in the 8th inning, not have to worry about getting to the 9th inning with him. And nothing against the other guys. It's going to work out. But right now, he's trying to get wins. And today, he did it as he did yesterday.
And I think it helped that the A's have an off day tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Give Clippard some rest. But Stephen Vogt is joining us downstairs. And Stephen, how deep of a breath did you take when Sam Fuld hauled it in at the wall?
I'm still trying to catch my breath. Giovatello's had great at bats all series, and I thought he got into that one. But you watch Sam, and he's such a good outfielder. He gets back to the wall, so he's going to be able to judge it. And as soon as you see him turn towards home plate, I knew that I was able to exhale a little bit. But it's a win. Doesn't really matter. It's a win.
I mean, you know what the crack of the bat sounds like, and if it's a good one. Did you think it was out when he put the swing on it?
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was out, and but honestly, it was just clipped through so well yesterday and today for us, and would have been unfortunate if that would have gotten out of the yard, but it didn't, and that's all that matters.
It's kind of funny watching Clippard. We just showed a replay, and he had his face towards you, and then he kind of peeked around to see if he's going to be caught. But great job again today, and we'll talk about your father throwing out the ceremonial first pitch. What about Scott Kasmer? He had terrible numbers against the Angels, the team he pitched for, but today, how great was he from your standpoint?
He was outstanding. I mean, he made pitches that go win. We kind of talked before the game and kind of said, hey, you know what? Let's not worry about the scouting report. Let's just go with your game.
Good.
And because I think so much we get caught up sometimes in the scouting report, and we don't go with what the pitcher's strengths are. And he's got to throw into some of these guys, and he did such a great job getting the ball in, changing speeds. His cutter was working, his curveball was working, changeup, and he had his good fastball as always.
And Steven, you said yesterday this is one of the best lineups in the American League, but how aware are you as the catcher of when Trout is coming up and when Pujols is coming up, because listen, no offense to the other guys, but it all revolves around those two guys.
Yeah, I mean, you got to talk about, you know, the guys at the top, Giavotella and Calhoun. You got to keep them off base, and you know, Kaz did a pretty good job of that today. You know, but anytime Trout and Pujols are looming, so to speak, you got to be careful. And those two guys, they're two of the best hitters in baseball, and they hit back to back in the same lineup, and we're fortunate enough to play them 19 times. So, you know, the thing is, you know, we've done such a good job with them this year. I think, you know, obviously Albert hit the home run today, but it didn't hurt us. So, you know, we're pretty happy with how today went, and it's a happy Father's Day.
And happy Father's Day to you as well. But with Clippard, you know, as a catcher, and Clippard has told us with a fastball changeup very similar, how do you as a catcher call a game with Clippard with two outstanding pitches?
Well, I mean, he's got to be able to mix them up, and kind of his go-to is that changeup, and he's got such a good elevated fastball, and he keeps it down when he needs to, he elevates when he needs to, but his changeup's his bread and butter. And I'll tell you what, there's some times where even I know it's coming and I have to second guess because it's that good of a straight changeup where it looks like a fastball out of his hand every time.
Well, Steven, you caught a lefty with good stuff. Tell us about your dad and tell us about the first pitch. That was pretty cool.
It was a special moment for my dad and I. He was my high school coach, and you know, my brother and I were very fortunate to have him involved in our lives from the time we were born until now still. And you know, he'd go to work at 3 in the morning so he could be home by 3 in the afternoon to coach us in Little League. And you know, we were just so blessed. You know, our dad went out and played with us every day, and he coached us through high school, my brother Danny and I, and just so fortunate to be able to share this moment with him on a Major League Baseball field today on Father's Day. It was very special.
And of course, your father was here, and you're a father of 2 wonderful children, your wife Alyssa. How is that for you as a father to be able to experience that as well?
It's so cool. I mean, there's nothing better in life than to be a father. I think it's the most important job a man has on this planet. And you know, for me, I'm honored that I've got 2 beautiful children and a beautiful wife that does such a great job with her. As you guys know, that a lot of the women in this game are single mothers a lot of the year, and so my wife Alyssa is a special woman, and so today on Father's Day it's pretty cool to have them all here at the ballpark.
Well, Steven, we want to let you know we're showing your daughter or your wife and your son right now, and he's out. He is out.
Yeah, I see him right up there. He is passed out. Well, that's about right. You know, it's about. I wanted to sleep a little bit today too. All these day games we've been playing, I'm ready to go to bed.
All right, Steven, thanks for joining us. Enjoy Father's Day.
All right, happy Father's Day to you too.
Thank you very much. So, what a ball game, huh? I mean, it was a great game. You know, you get the home run by Pujols to tighten things up, and then the way it ended gets a little scary. But again, I go back to the pitching, which has always been there for the A's, even though Friday night was a little bit of a misstep. But you have a chance if your starters are good, and the A's do have good starters.
And the important thing that I heard from Stephen Vogt was scouting reports are good. There's so much information, but I think too many times, Kai, what Stephen Vogt said isn't true, that you pitch to the weakness of the hitter versus the strength of your pitcher. And what he said to Scott Kazmir, and they know these numbers. I mean, Scott Kazmir knew what happened last year. Stephen Vogt did. And he said, let's forget about all that. Let's pitch to your strength, which I think should happen more and more because a pitcher is good. And why should you worry about what a hitter can or cannot do when your pitcher can do certain things? Scott Kazmir proved that today. Like you said, Hahn yesterday, Kazmir today, pitching the 8th inning, takes a lot of burden off the bullpen. And fortunately, Clippard could have a big sigh of relief because the look on his face when he kind of peeked around to look where the ball was going, fortunately, it was caught by Sam Full. Didn't even have to jump, caught it at the wall, and very happy for the team to do that.
All right, so all good. Happy Father's Day, Ray.
Father's Day to you, too.
All right, so a good day at the ballpark as the A's win the series, and they hold on. They hold their breath and win it today by a final score of 3-2. You've been watching Oakland A's baseball on Comcast Sportsnet California. Don't go away. A's postgame live with Brody and Schutte is set to go.